I am making some cucumber salad to take to a friend's house. We're having a little get-together over there for lunch. It's early in the morning, that's why it's dark outside. I have 3 sliced cucumbers that I peeled. I also have 5 Roma tomatoes that I quartered, and I just wanted to show you what I do to remove the seeds. You might already know this, but I was at someone's house helping them chop tomatoes for tacos, and they were like, oh, that's a cool idea. So this is what I do. I just slide the knife under there, and we actually have pet tortoises, so I just keep all the scraps because they will eat all of that. So I just coarsely chopped the tomatoes, and I'm going to add those to the bowl with the cucumbers. And then I have about half of a red onion chopped, and I wanted to share a little trick with you. If you put your onion in the freezer for about 15 minutes before you chop it, it will eliminate the tears. It is the only thing that I have found to work, and it works so well. And then I whisked together my Italian dressing. I do have the recipe for this recorded, and I'll put the recipe link over to the right side, that little bar. You can click on it, and it will also be in the description box. So I think I'll pour most, if not all of it on here. With a little bit left. I'm going to mix it together and see what it looks like. This Italian dressing is great on salads as well. I am just going to cover this and refrigerate it. It's probably going to refrigerate for about 4 hours, and that will help the Italian dressing to really marinate the cucumbers, tomatoes, and onions, and it will be extra tasty. I am making my banana snack cake. I'll leave a link to the recipe below, and it will also be on the right. You can just click on those little tabs that come up. This is incredibly easy. It's great if you have ripe bananas. You can just whip it together in one bowl, and it's egg-free and dairy-free in case you or your kids have allergies. It's great. My kids love it. I have probably made this over 50 times. I've been making it for years, and it's really moist. I know a lot of you guys have made it and said that you really like it. Alright, I am going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes. You do want to test it to make sure the center is done, because it's kind of a thick cake and it can look like it's done, but you definitely want to test it. Once the banana snack cake is done cooling, I just cut it in squares, and it's a great snack. You can dust it with powdered sugar if you would like as well. I am making pepperoni rolls for my boys' lunches. They love these, and they are pretty easy to make. I have my dough ingredients in my bread machine, and I am going to select the dough setting. I do have a recipe video for these, so I will link that below. I'm getting ready to make the pepperoni rolls. I have this whole recipe recorded, and John is watching the football game and putting some stuff together, so I know it's going to be loud in the background, but you can watch the recipe video. I just have my pizza sauce, and I think I mentioned this in the video, but I just have tomato sauce, oregano, basil, and garlic salt, probably about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of each, mozzarella cheese, and then I did want to mention this. I really like the Hormel natural pepperoni. I've shared this before, but this is the only pepperoni I can find without preservatives. It's hard to find in my area. I can only find it at a couple Kroger stores, so I just wanted to let you know about that in case that's something that you're concerned about too. Alright, I am going to pop these in the oven for about 15 minutes or so. I just pulled my pepperoni rolls out of the oven. Mine took 15 minutes. Make these for your kids if you haven't already, and they will love you. I just got back from Meijer and I'm putting away my produce, and I wanted to share some tips with you on how I store my produce. I usually don't show my Meijer grocery hauls because they go there in between my Trader Joe's and Costco hauls, and I figured I would show this since I was showing Trader Joe's and Costco in my last food prep video. I do have videos in which I share lots of tips for storing produce and how I make it last longer. I did those videos probably over a year ago, but I'll try to find them and link those below because they do have a lot of helpful tips. But I wanted to share some things with you. So we actually have a whole drawer dedicated to our tortoise food, and then they also eat some tomatoes when I'm cutting them, and apples and peppers and things like that. They're like my little compost. I don't need a compost because they eat all of the scraps pretty much. They can't have too much sugar, so I can't give them like pineapple core or something like that, but for the most part they can eat a lot of things. So anyway, this is their drawer, and they have lots of lettuce and kale and all kinds of greens in here. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because I wanted to let you know how I store lettuce. So when I get home, I don't wash my heads of lettuce or kale or whatnot. I just make sure that if there is a lot of water on it, I dry it a little bit so that they're not soaking wet, because sometimes they spray them at the grocery store. And then I put them in this drawer, and there is a linen cloth at the bottom. There's a ton of stuff in here, so you can't really see it, but there is a linen cloth in here, and that absorbs some of the moisture and helps the lettuce and greens to last a little longer. So I know you probably don't have tortoises, but this is a great way to store lettuce. If you get heads of lettuce, you could either put it in a drawer on top of a linen napkin just to kind of absorb some of the moisture, or you could put it in a Ziploc bag. I definitely wouldn't recommend washing it when you get home. I have also shared that I buy some of the like plastic bins of spinach or baby greens. I don't have any right now, but when I get home from the grocery store, I just put them in the refrigerator. But once I open them, I put a linen napkin in there with the spinach or greens, and that really helps them to last longer. I would say you'll get at least 3 extra days out of it because it's going to absorb some of the moisture in there, and it really works well. I don't have any of that, but I do have some heads of romaine that I got for us, and I just keep it in the package and don't open it until we're ready to eat it, and then I wash it before we eat it so that it's not sitting there with a lot of liquid on it. I also keep celery and carrots and everything in here and wait until I'm ready to use them. Again, you don't want them to have too much moisture, and I feel like they last a little bit longer. I know some people don't like this idea, but I do keep my onions in my refrigerator. I have done this for years, way before I started YouTube, and they last longer in the refrigerator. I sometimes put them in a Ziploc bag with a linen napkin, again, to absorb the moisture. I have 2 big bags of them here, so once I start to use some and they're in the refrigerator a little longer, I might transfer them over to a Ziploc bag with a linen napkin. But that's basically what I do for these type of things. I just keep them in the refrigerator and wash them when we're ready to use them. Here are a few more things that I got. I wanted to share with you how I'm going to store them. I have some flat leaf parsley and some cilantro, and what I do is remove this little tag. I've heard that this will help them to stay fresher longer. And what I like to do is, again, put them in a bag with a linen napkin. Now, I don't like to use paper towels, so I use linen napkins. I have tons of them, but you can use paper towel. They do bleach paper towel, so that's just something to consider because it's going to be in there with your food, but whatever your thoughts are on that, you can do that. Now I am just going to put both of them in one bag. So I'm just going to kind of put it in there like that. The cilantro and then the parsley. And that way they aren't soaking wet and they do last a lot longer. I just used the last bit of my cilantro and it was in there for over a week and I ended up using it all. But sometimes if you don't use this, cilantro can go bad pretty quickly because of the thin leaves and there is sometimes moisture in there. So I've definitely found that this works well. So that's all set for the refrigerator. I also bought some green beans for my minestrone soup. Again, I just leave these until I'm ready to use them and then I will rinse them and chop them for the soup. But again, that moisture, you don't want too much moisture in with your produce because it will cause them to go bad quicker. So I bought some green onions and I do remove the tag first. Sometimes they have like a twist tie around them and mine are a little bit wet, so I just kind of pat them dry a little bit. I'm actually going to be using these very soon, so I'll probably just lay them in the refrigerator. Sometimes I put them on the drawer with a linen napkin. And sometimes if I'm not going to use them for a while, I will store them just like this with a linen napkin in a Ziploc bag. And I have found that that works really well. I know some people like to put their herbs in a glass of water and they have found that that causes them to last a lot longer. I just know that would get tipped over in my refrigerator. So I don't do that and this works really well for me. I have a few oranges left from Costco, so I've already washed those and I showed how to do that in my last food prep video. I just soak them in some water with a little bit of vinegar. And then I bought tomatillos to make salsa verde, so I have these over here and I'll wash these right before I'm ready to use them because I like to leave them in the papery husk, some of them. It fell off. And I keep my garlic here in a little basket. My bananas are there getting really ripe for baking. And over here I just have the things that I am going to wash. So I have apples, tomatoes, a zucchini, peppers. If I buy cucumbers and things like that, I will just put them over here and wash them, and that way they're ready to go when we want to eat them. Things like this aren't going to really be affected by washing them and letting them sit on your counter or in your refrigerator. I just have my apples, tomatoes, pepper, and zucchini in the sink with some vinegar and water. I did change this a little bit. I used to use a little bit of natural dish soap to clean them, but the vinegar and water is so much easier. You can just let everything soak and it does a great job of getting your fruits and vegetables clean. So this is my setup. Like I said, I just put everything to the right of the sink. When I get home from the grocery store, anything that needs to be washed goes there. And then I fill up my sink with vinegar and water and I have my towel right here waiting for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and rinse these. I just store all of this here on my tray. I love having fresh fruit and vegetables out on the counter. I think it adds some color and is so pretty, and it reminds you to eat fresh, healthy food. I have my apples here on my island in a fruit bowl.